Hi, everybody. Welcome to City Girls Pod. And this is a show where we talk all things Sex in the City and anything that Sarah Jessica Parker does, because we're talking about Square Pegs. This is her show that was her first lead show from 1982. And it's really like looking at a yearbook of the past. It's very fun. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Jax is here.
Rachel, when you were talking, I was like, oh my goodness, the next time Sarah Jessica Parker does Broadway, you should plan a trip here
Oh
and
my
we should
gosh.
go. And then we can
Yes.
review that.
Yes, I want to so bad. I mean, I'm so mad because I really wanted to do a Broadway trip in May. That was my goal, to see some of the the Tony nominated things. But I got this it's just so hard when you're a small, business owner, because things work out, things don't work out, but I ended up with this crazy dental bill. Ugh, that's so frustrating. The insurance is refusing to cover, which is ridiculous because it was not cosmetic in any way. It was a dental emergency that I had with one of my teeth, and so now I can't go to New York in May, which is so disappointing. But what are you gonna do?
Well, it's so crazy, the dental stuff. I just went to the dentist just like for a checkup. And about a year ago, no, 2 years ago, I paid it's like $1,400 out of pocket for a crown. And my dentist was like, a different dentist was like, we have to redo the crown. It'll be 1,200. I was like, I'm not redoing it. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here with dentistry?
At least they told you. Like, I didn't even know
They
that
tell
it
you.
went that. Yeah, they didn't even tell me that. Like, I just never thought in a million years, because it was a crown that was needed, but literally my tooth had come out. Like, I had a chipped tooth. There was a big hunk on my tooth. In a million years that a dental, like, why do you even have insurance if it doesn't cover, like, when you literally have a piece of your tooth missing? Like, it's so ridiculous. And then the dentist, this is totally tan, but then the dentist just charged the full amount without even notifying me. And all of a sudden I see on my credit card, oh, over $1,000. I'm like, what? And just like, I can't believe that you didn't notify me before they did the procedure, that there was even a chance that that would happen. I
Yeah.
had no idea. And on me for, I guess, I just assumed that, and which was stupid. But anyway,
No,
and
it's not stupid because it should be like you should be paying a copay of like $100 for that
yeah,
maximum.
yeah,
I don't understand
absolutely.
this.
And then to just charge it in, like, it was just bizarre that they wouldn't notify me. It's just so frustrating. So
Yeah, like you said, we're not like getting
yeah,
cosmetic stuff. Your girl's
yeah.
eating crowns. Like, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah. So if anybody is considering joining the Patreon, now would be a great time to join the Patreon. You get like really good benefits. We have an awesome watch along scheduled for April. Not only the one where you get to watch me watch When It Calls the Heart, which is fun, but we have Ansley Gordon coming on in April. It's going to be really fun on the 27th to watch Baked with a Kiss. And she's so charming. You're gonna love it, and
Oh my
this is
God.
the kind of thing you get for joining the Patreon. And it's I think you get your money's worth. I really do. So if people, please, that would really help out a lot. But
I always
anyway,
think about it
yeah,
with the Patreons, like the Patreons that I'm a member of. I'm like thinking about how much money I would spend literally to just go to a movie at the theater. And the
yeah,
podcasts that I listen to regularly, it's like, oh, they're free essentially. I'm just supporting and paying what I would pay to like go to a movie theater.
yeah, yeah. So people should definitely check it out. But anyway, we're talking about Square Pegs. We had our review of the pilot, so definitely y'all should check that out in the second episode, first and second episodes. So today we're talking about episodes 3 and episodes 4. And I don't know about you, but I feel like there's something very like comforting about watching this show and just getting this like peek into the past and what teenage life was like. It's such like a picture of the past. It's really fun.
Yeah, I agree. I find it really soothing. And I think
Yeah.
something that I also like about it, and I think you and I can relate to this because, we've shared not only with each other's friends, but also on the podcast about our high school experiences. Like, they're not doing hard drugs. This isn't Footloose. There's not a ton of
Yeah.
like sex stuff, which, like it's
Yeah.
fine
And
to watch that kind of thing, but it's very pure.
right. And these are in general like happy teens. These are not the sullen, miserable teens that I hate. These are pretty well adjusted, and it's generally I think pretty funny. I think I'm just so happy that we're doing this because I'm just glad to have discovered this show because I think it deserves to be remembered.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, we'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So 3, Pac-Man Fever. This is the class clown Marshall becomes addicted to the new arcade game that has arrived on campus. His friend Johnny is concerned and looks to Father Guido Sarducci for help. And this is just like so fascinating on so many levels because I've been substitute teaching, but also been judging debate this last year, and so I've spent a bit of time in schools this last year. And one thing that, and I think for good cause, is the schools have become pretty sterile, like lacking in personality, right? Because they have to keep the kids safe, and so everything needs to be kind of controlled and you just look at like this school and how like much personality they have, and you just try to think now of the idea of having multiple arcade games in the cafeteria without thinking at all. And like it's so crazy to me because like now you in I just think it's so bizarre that now in schools, at least in Utah, you have to have like special permission to use the elevators. Like, because I need to use the elevators, right? And in order to, you have to have like a special card. And so I always have to like find somebody, a janitor, somebody who let me use the elevators, which is just insane.
Wait,
And
why is there a special permission
I don't
for it?
understand it. I don't understand it. But like, I just feel like everything in school is so like monitored and watched over, and it's just like they don't trust kids with the elevators, and somebody was like, well, they would play around on them. They would be like, no, they don't. Like kids are going to be bored by an elevator,
Right.
It's like elevators are designed to be used. They're industrial things. They're supposed to be used, like they're not these like protected fragile things. And I mean, I don't know, teen in the world is be like, oh, I gotta hang out in the elevator. So like it's
so much fun.
It's just bizarre. And I just feel like from an outside perspective that it's so hard to get everything so controlled at school, and there's just so little like room for personality. And you just look at this in 1982 and how much personality, like was allowed, and the fact that they would allow these arcade games in the middle of cafeteria is just like seems crazy now.
Yeah, it does seem wild that that's just happening at the school. Like, and it's so bizarre to me, like you said, to watch how much has changed over the years in a high school setting.
Yeah.
I did love how we have our, wonderful little nerds, Sarah Jessica Parker and Amy Linker, and they're having this like fancy lunch.
Yeah, that was
The
really
glasses
fun.
of milk made me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was like, is that glue? It looked weird.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, don't drink that. But I mean, some people probably think it's in poor taste. I don't know. I just think it's funny the whole thing with their Guatemalan girl and Muffy says that they're installing the video games in the cafeteria to make money for their girl in Guatemala, their adoptee, and that that Muffy says that I could wait, but Guatemala can't, just right now, and so yeah, Marshall and Johnny say that they're like great at video games, and Marshall's all like, I could do this with my eyes closed, and it turns out he is really good at
He's
playing
really, really
Pac-Man.
good.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny what you were saying, Rachel, about like some people might think it's in poor taste. I think with comedy, where I stand with things is like, are you punching up or punching down, or like who are you making fun of? And to me,
Yeah.
it's like they're making fun of Muffy rather than they're not
Right.
making fun of
That's
Like,
true.
you're like, oh my gosh, and she's like, oh, our little girl needs like new pants and a shirt, and you're like, this girl needs other things besides really fashionable clothes.
Yeah.
Like she's talking about getting her fashionable clothes. So I also am really thinking that this running joke of this Guatemalan child that they're supporting is funny because it just seems like Muffy is just off to the races about it.
Yeah, I would love if like maybe in the finale or something like that, we see the Guatemalan girl and she's like super decked out, like all this stuff. Like that would be really funny.
I'm hoping for it because they seem like it's a consistent through line.
Yeah, yeah. And so then you have everybody getting super competitive over the video games, and Vinny coming. I'm Knobs Pasetta. That's what they call me at the arcade. And Mars says, I could go to Russia and challenge the communists. I mean,
it's really cute and funny.
but Vinny sucks. He's terrible at the video game.
He's not good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty bad at video games, especially any kind of like shooters or anything. Like I tried to play Halo once. It was bad. It was bad.
I remember when I was like 11 and 12, I could play like Donkey Kong and like Mario Paint, but other than that, it's not for me.
Yeah, yeah. And there's just so many things that are just interesting in this, like a peek into 1982, because like they're talking about, oh, we're going to go to the movies, and she's like shocked that one of that I think was Marshall or Johnny, that they don't want to go see the latest Woody Allen. It's one of his funny movies, which is like really funny, because you think like that he did have less funny movies like Hannah and Her Sisters and Manhattan, and although Manhattan can be actually quite funny. I mean, everything with Woody Allen, of course, now has sort of a tinge on it. It's a little bit different than it was then. But I love the scene in Manhattan where there's these pedantic types that are all talking and trying to kind of one up each other, and it says they're like, oh, it's so overrated, and I can't remember who it was they were saying it was overrated, but it was like Coppola or somebody, like, oh, yeah, so overrated, and he's like, that's overrated. Like, what? And he's like, that's not overrated. And I just think it's a hilarious scene, because you could totally have that whole conversation now, like even more so. And so I get it, but I don't know, I just thought that was funny, because you would never think now that would be sort of the high school hip. Oh, you going to see the latest Woody Allen?
Yeah. And hearing Sarah Jessica Parker say it too, like it's just so fun to see her in this role.
Yeah, I don't know if Sarah Jessica Parker was ever in a Woody Allen movie. I can't remember. Let me see. He made so many that it was hard to keep track.
Have you ever seen Purple Rose of Cairo?
I never have.
I think you would love that one. I haven't seen it since high school, but I had a boyfriend that was very obsessed with Woody Allen. So I watched a ton of them, and I remember thinking that one was just really special.
Oh, Cool. Yeah, I mean my favorite Woody Allen is Midnight in Paris. I
Oh, yeah,
love that movie.
that's great.
Yeah, yeah, but a lot of his other I really do appreciate Manhattan. There's some skeevy parts of it, but and I actually probably like Manhattan more than Annie Hall, which may be a
Yeah.
hot take. But I appreciate Annie Hall more than I love it. I appreciate for its influence on the genre, and it does have really, excellent things about it, but it's just,
Great fashion. I love
yeah,
her
great
fashion.
fashion, and it has some really iconic stuff. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. And so in Marshall, he's so like hooked on this game that he's like trying to get quarters from everybody, including Jennifer, which is really funny. And Jennifer is like getting more and more frustrated because she doesn't want Vinny playing all these video games. And you're beyond the valley of the lame. I thought that was a really good line.
Yeah.
And so they come up, they're frustrated because they like Marshall's is taking all their quarters, but also is spending all this time in this video game. And so they come up with this whole scheme that they get Jennifer to seduce Marshall. And she's like, I would do this. And they're like, do this for all the video widows of the USA.
I thought that was really funny because people talk about being like golf widows when it's like golf season, and she's like touching his elbow, like that's gonna be an erotic thing.
Yeah.
So funny.
It was really good. And all he did when she does that, all he does is ask her for her quarters, and she's like, "What?"
Her charms are not working on him.
Yeah. I'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Elise Murray and her exciting book, Society Girl. Set in the mysterious world of Oxford University's secret societies, Society Girl follows Sam, a duke's estranged daughter, as she attempts to join the most famous club of them all, the Animos Society. Her final initiation challenge is simple. Find a man, convince him she's in love with him, and then break his heart in humiliating fashion. Hardened by her father's rejections, believing that the Animos Society is her key to his love and acceptance, Sam throws herself into making Dano Best, her father's chauffeur and local musician, fall for her. But she never counted on falling in love with him right back. Fans of Colleen Hoover, Anna Hong, and Mia Sheridan will love Society Girl, a sweeping romance from bestselling novelist and screenwriter Elise Murray. Free for Kindle Unlimited users for a limited time. Go to elisemurray.com/novels/Society Girl for more information. Or you can use the affiliate link below. I forget when the when is the Nintendo? 1984. So this was 2 years before the home like console video game concept, would have come. So just think how different it's so interesting because now of course everybody has this on their phone in the cafeteria you have 500 Pac-Mans basically the equivalent, and they just had the 3 or 4.
Yeah, and it's so wild to just think about that because what I do like about it is like having it in the cafeteria like that, even though he's kind of ignoring all his friends, in a certain way, it does create a sense of community rather than if you're just in your phone.
Yeah, it's true. So they've got to deprogram Marshall, and so their plan is to basically win him back with tabletop games, board games. I thought that was really funny.
Classics.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite board game?
I would say that my favorite board game is probably it's not quite a board game, but Heads Up.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
That's pretty
fun. Do you have a favorite one?
Yeah. Well, I have very fond memories of playing Boggle and playing Scrabble. And I do enjoy Scattergories and Apples to Apples. Those would probably be a high for me.
Oh, I do love Apples to Apples, and I love Clue also.
Yeah. And so and I love, it's a card game, but I do love Pit. Have you ever played Pit?
No.
Okay, Pit is so fun. The only thing that's hard about Pit is you have to have at least 4 people to play, so it has to be more of a group game, but it's a great game to play if like at like a family function where you just need people like to get the energy out.
Yes.
And like, because what it is the idea is that you're all playing like you are when you watch people on the stock market exchange and they're like 1 1 1 1 1 1 2 2 2,
Yeah.
they're like holding things up. So it's the idea is you're sort of playing a market like that. And so you're trying to get the full all the cards of one particular, there's like corn, wheat, all this different stuff. And so what you do is you hold up, so you say you want to swipe two corn cards for something else. So you say two, 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 and so everybody's screaming and passing, and then when you get all the cards, it's like 8 or something like that, and you go corner on the market.
That's cute.
There's a bell, like you hit like corner on the market, and it's
I love that.
really fun. I love playing Pit, and so yeah, we're big board gamers. We love playing board games.
Yeah, love a board game, a video game.
Not as much. I mean, and I think the Monopoly is fun, but the problem with Monopoly is that basically whoever gets Boardwalk and Park Place is going to win. It's almost impossible to win the game if you don't have those. I mean, unless those get divvied up and divided, if somebody gets both of those, it's almost impossible because you can only maybe afford to land on them one time. And so, it's not that
on so long.
Yeah. And it's hard to win the game if somebody gets those. So it's not that much fun, but I feel like Monopoly is a good like winter board game.
Yeah. If you really want to hunker down.
Yeah. With like brownies and some popcorn and you play Monopoly or Risk.
Oh gosh, I really want brownies now. I had popcorn yesterday, so I'm craving that less, but I want brownies.
But they try with Clue. They're trying to win him back. And then they try Mousetrap. That was a blast from the past. Mousetrap.
Classic.
Yeah, which is a fun game, but you always lose the pieces. And so it's only fun for like the first 6 months and then
and then you can't find anything.
Yeah. So then you have this. So Jennifer's getting increasingly frustrated. And I'm guessing that some people might like think this is also in poor taste, but I thought it was funny. So Jennifer goes to Sal and he's like this like mafia don guy and he's eating oranges and everything. And I don't like anything that distracts Vinny. It will be taken care of. Which was so really funny. And it kind of reminded me, I love in Zootopia. And it's like,
oh, I haven't seen it forever.
Oh, yeah. Well, so in Zootopia, they go to they're investigating the case. And basically, there's like scene right out of The Godfather in Zootopia. And the dawn at the wedding, just like in Godfather. So I don't know. I think it's still funny.
That's funny that they do that in Zootopia. I don't remember much about that for some reason.
I don't like people coming into my wedding, and all this stuff. But I thought this was funny. I don't like anything that distracts Vinny. It'll be taken care of. And sort of was like, you should try tangerines.
Yeah, I do love that this show doesn't mind being a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a comedy. It's silly. So then Father Sadaducci comes and shows Marshall what's going on.
Yeah,
you need to get rid of these video games, and it was kind of funny that their big solution is to get Miss Pac-Man instead.
Yeah.
And Muffy's like, we almost had enough for the apartment for our Guatemalan.
She cracks me up.
Yeah, she's really good. So yeah, this one very funny. I think I would be surprised if that cafeteria episode gets beaten, but I enjoyed this one a lot.
Yeah, I like this one too. I mean, I'm just so partial to anything with like theater stuff that like I think number 2 will probably be the best one for me, but I was pleasantly surprised that this was still keeping up the funny.
Yeah. Me too.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Then we have episode 4. It's called Square Pigskins, and it's high school sports takes a step backwards when Lauren encourages a skeptical Patty to join her on the Wee girls football team. Lauren is convinced it's the perfect way to meet boys. So this teacher, she announces that this is going to be this great thing for women. Miss Loomis, she announces that they are going to have a girls football team, and this was, I thought, really funny, and I love the fact that like girls were girls, and they didn't feel like a need to make them like secretly amazing at football. Like they kind of sucked at it. And I know, I just feel like this would be a lot more cringe now than it was in this episode. It was like, they weren't afraid to kind of poke fun at feminism, poke fun at traditional femininity and the girls and everything else. And I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I love too. Like there was everything about Sarah Jessica Parker and Amy when they were just like, they were so bad and they hated it so much and they looked so pathetic. And then they were apologetic at the end about it, but you could just tell they're like, this is not for us.
Yeah. And and the only one that like kind of likes it is LaDonna, but she doesn't like it because she likes it. She likes it because she thinks that she can be the next Bubba Smith, who was a big football player at the time. And
well, when she said that, I was like, LaDonna, I love you. And also like, you didn't think you're good at anything. We saw you dance. You can dance. Like, girl, you're good.
I love when LaDonna says, I went to 4 Olivia Newton-John concerts for you, and I hate that woman.
That made me laugh too. And Jennifer, right? She's like, oh, we have all our albums. And she's like, you gave them to me. Like, that was really funny.
Jennifer is like rapidly rising for me.
Yes.
It was really funny in this episode.
Really, really funny. And I like getting to see the friendship between LaDonna and Jennifer. I think it's really interesting now that I'm like, oh, they're best friends. I wasn't really tracking that before, and now it's really interesting.
Yeah. They have like a rivalry, but also a like friendship, which is nice. And like she's so palatable for the kind of the mean girl of the show.
Yes.
Like, but she actually has like a personality and there's something to her. And so I appreciate that. And I'm just looking. So this Jennifer, Tracy Nelson is her name. And she's still a working actress. She still has credits. I've never heard of any of these movies, but
she's
doing still Tall, Dark, and Dangerous. What is that? She's in The Wrong Life Coach. Okay, all these are Lifetime. I think they're all Lifetime.
She's a Lifetime girly.
Yeah, she's in a ton. The Wrong High School Sweetheart. You know that Lifetime has that the Wrong Matchmaker, the Wrong, whatever. And see if I'm surprised if she's done The Wrong Prince Charming. Oh my gosh.
They're all wrong.
The Wrong Friend. She's a queen at the Wrong movies. She loves them. The Wrong Child.
Oh my gosh.
I bet I wonder if we could get her to come on the podcast. That would be really
Rachel,
fun.
I bet she would do
it. But she was on Murphy Brown. She was on Seinfeld. She She was on The Nanny. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Oh, she has to come on the pod. That would be so
Yeah,
fun.
that would be so fun. Anyway, yeah, way to go, Tracy. You're rocking it. But she's just very funny, I think, in this role, and it does a lot to bring something to what might be just like a mean girl. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you said that she's palatable in this mean girl role, because instead of the focus of this like stock mean girl character being
Yeah.
like cruelty and being mean, it's that she's so self-centered, which makes it even funnier. Like, I
Yeah.
think sometimes you see the mean girls in these high school movies and TV shows, and it's very outward focused of actually being mean to other people, but she's just so narcissistic that it's funny.
Yeah. And I mean, her actions are like reasonable. They make sense for her character, and then I also like Muffy a lot. Like, she's another one that could just be sort of I mean, she's basically like Patty in Grease,
Yeah.
but like expanded, upon. But I think Jamie Gertz does a really funny job with Muffy. She's very good.
She really does.
Yeah. And in this one, of course, she keeps wanting, she wants to give the pep in the football team. She wants nothing to do with it. She's like, keep me out of it.
I love how she's like, because she's in charge of the pep, she couldn't possibly be on the team.
Yeah, right. She's in the pep shed and everything. Yep. She wants to name the team the We Squaws, which is totally cringe, but I thought kind of funny. I mean, the craziest thing about this episode is that you have this substitute teacher who's coming in, teaching the math teacher, and he's like a Vietnam vet, and he has a gun that he shoots off, and he's to like get their attention, and it's played just for total laughs, like, oh, he's a Nam vet, and he's like, oh, it's just blanks. This is an old trick I picked up in Nam.
That's when this episode started off quite literally with the bang of the gun, I was like, oh, things are sadly so different now because of the number of school shootings that we've had, that this wouldn't be funny. No. But I do think this actor was quite charming.
Yeah, he was.
But that was a little bit like, whoa, okay,
yeah.
Time.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, for good cause, but schools have become so sterile. There's very little like room for personality in I mean, obviously this is an extreme, but to I mean, you would get fired, obviously. If you did, you'd have no job. But it was just like, wow, that's crazy. Think how much things have changed in 40 years.
If you talked like he did about things, you would get fired.
Yeah, like, for sure.
Yeah.
But the dynamic between Miss Loomis and this military guy was very funny too, because she's like she's the the feminist, and she has these great dreams about the football team, and he is kind of, he's like on her side kind of, but like in the sense that like wanting the girls to like be amazing and be this like great team, but he's like the masculine version of it. So that's what's funny. Is it? I also thought it was really funny with Marshall doing his Howard Cosell things.
That was great.
And have you ever seen Better Off Dead? Movie Better Off Dead?
Wait, no, I haven't.
It's not like a good movie, but it's, in my opinion, very funny. And it's extremely stupid, but it is very funny. And he has there's so John Kusek, he has this there's these two Chinese people that learn how to speak English from watching Howard Cosell. And whenever he goes next to them in the car, they're like, Lane Myers, a man on a mission. Like it's ridiculous.
God.
Yeah,
and
but very funny.
I love John Cusack so much.
Oh, you gotta see it. Even my mom thinks it's funny, and she's very picky about comedy. Yeah. His brother takes all of the the free things off of the cereal boxes before the cereal is gone. And so then the dad like pulls him out and like cereal.
It's like just coming out.
Yeah, he's like, couldn't you wait until I don't know. It's just
That's cute.
ridiculous. And yeah, it's very funny. Very funny. But anyway, and so you've got this football team and yeah, so the girls all hate it. Absolutely hate it.
No, I love picturing you and me in high school
Yeah.
trying to do this.
I don't like being in pain of any kind. Like I don't have like a high pain tolerance. And so once I had like the first bumps and bruises, no, I'm done. You know, I'm that's it for me.
My high school football team, they're a really, really good team. And they have in the summer what they call like doubles practices. So you literally practice all day long. And I remember being like, it sounds nauseating. Like my pain tolerance is okay, but actually my tolerance for discomfort is less than my pain tolerance.
Yeah.
And all of it sounds terrible.
I can see that. Well, I mean, especially because it's like supposed to be fun. Yeah, this is sort of like whole quasi-military aspects to it. I do not understand. And that is definitely not the way to motivate me, that's for sure. And we have Jennifer getting the ball and she's just like standing there. She doesn't even know what to do. It was really good.
It was really,
I don't
really
even
funny.
she's like, I don't even want this ball. Like
she's completely clueless and not even trying.
yeah. There are times when a woman doesn't want a man to bother her. and so LaDonna, she's feeling frustrated and she's not going to be the next Bubba Smith. But then the girls from the other team, because they're amazing, they're so good. And
they're so tall.
Yeah, huge. And they're like, you join our team. And she's like, okay.
I did love this moment. I thought it was this really interesting thing, and it made me laugh too when they asked LaDonna to be their quarterback. And she's like, oh, we have a great quarterback. And they're like, she's a white girl and we can't understand what she's saying. And I just thought that was really funny. It was
really funny. Yeah, really funny. And I had that written down too. Oh, we can't understand a damn thing this white chick is saying.
I was like, that's fair. That's fair.
So then Jennifer apologizes. And they said you can't spell sportsmanship without man. And then they all carry LaDonna off the field and they're like, sorry, we hate this.
I actually got weirdly emotional for that. I'm like, that's really sweet. They all kind of took ownership of the fact that I totally get why they don't want to do it, but it was something that was really important to her.
Yeah.
And I thought there was a nice acknowledgement of that.
Yeah, it was. And I just feel like this would be handled so much more cringe now, that it wouldn't be as funny. They wouldn't allow the girls to be girls. They wouldn't allow the other team to be the way that they are. I don't know. I just feel like was very refreshing. Everything about this episode was very refreshing.
Yeah, even though I don't like it quite as much as the theater one, because of course not, this was close to that for me. Like, I love this, like, we're all doing a thing together and it's very like high school. You're all rallying around something. I thought it was really fun. Yeah.
And obviously like the teacher with the gun doesn't hold up. That's crazy. But everything else pretty much I think was very funny. And it was all very interesting, like a capsule time. It definitely. So I like this one. It was a good episode. And like I said, Jennifer, hilarious when she catches that ball. She's just standing there like,
And I do like, Rachel, how we're seeing that it truly is an ensemble cast. Like, I think in the first episode, I was like, oh, it's going to be mostly Sarah Jessica Parker and Amy Linker. But we're really seeing a lot from the other characters, and that's really, really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. That's these two episodes. Let us know. I mean, there's got to be fans out there of this show, and we want to find you, and we want to hear what you think. And if you are a new fan, you watch it because of this recap, we'd love that too. You have to purchase. It's not streaming, but they're for purchase. But I would just love to hear some comments and see what people think. So please put it in the comment section or on Twitter. You can follow us at City Girls Pod on Twitter or the Hallmarkies Podcast. So please let us know what you think. And Jax, where can people find you?
Jacqueline Collier on Instagram.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. I have a playlist of all of our City Girls Pod episodes. Big news, actually, in the Sex and the City front this week. The Sex and the City is now on Netflix, so that's fun. So if you're watching it, we have recaps of every episode and the movies, so check that out. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you're watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is the best way you can support us. Really appreciate that. And the merch store. You can get City Girls Pod merch. So take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.